I watched my 15-year-old son throw his phone onto the couch, his face crumpling like a used tissue. She broke up with him, and the word good left my mouth before I could stop it. Jake's head snapped up, his eyes wide with disbelief. The living room suddenly felt too small, the air thick with tension. My husband, Mark, froze mid-step in the doorway, coffee mug suspended halfway to his lips. "What did you just say?" Jake's voice cracked, that awkward teenage break between childhood and whatever came next. I stood my ground near the kitchen counter, dish towel still in my hands. "I said good, Jake. That girl deserves better than someone who cancels on her an hour before their plans." "Mom!" He shot up from the couch, his whole body radiating hurt and anger. "She just dumped me, and you're taking her side?" Mark finally moved, setting his mug down with a deliberate clink. "Honey, maybe now isn't the time." But I'd started this, and something in me refused to back down. For 6 weeks, I'd watched Jake string along the sweetest girl, Emma. That was her name. Emma with the bright smile and handmade cookies she'd brought over that one time. Emma who'd texted asking if Jake needed a ride, if he was feeling okay, if maybe they could reschedule. Always so understanding, so patient. When is the time, Mark? After he does this to the next girl and the one after that? I turned back to Jake. "You canceled on her 7 times. 7. I counted because each time I had to watch you come up with some excuse about rides or being busy when really you just wanted to play video games with Tyler and Brad." Jake's face flushed red. "You don't know anything about it." "I know that girl called here twice looking for you. I know she made plans with you for Saturday 3 weeks ago, and you texted her that Friday night saying you couldn't make it. I know she invited you to her birthday dinner, and you said yes, then canceled the morning of because suddenly you had a headache that mysteriously disappeared when Tyler asked you to go to the arcade." "Jesus, Mom, were you stalking me?" Jake grabbed his phone, clutching it like a shield. Mark stepped between us, his mediator voice activating. "Let's all just take a breath here. Jake, buddy, your mom's concerned about how you handled things. And honey, he's hurting right now. Maybe we can discuss this when everyone's calmer?" I dropped the dish towel onto the counter. "He's not hurting, Mark. His ego is bruised. There's a difference." "Oh my God!" Jake's voice rose to a near shout. "You're unbelievable. My girlfriend just broke up with me, and you're acting like it's my fault?" "It is your fault." The words came out sharper than I intended. "Emma didn't break up with you because she stopped liking you. She broke up with you because you showed her over and over that you didn't actually want to be with her." Jake stared at me, his jaw working. "You don't get it. Being in a relationship is hard. I had other stuff going on." "Then you shouldn't have asked her out in the first place." I crossed my arms. "That girl rearranged her schedule for you. She asked her mom to drive her 40 minutes to that comic book store you wanted to check out. She learned about your favorite games so she could talk to you about them. What did you do for her?" Silence hung heavy in the room. Jake looked at his father, seeking backup. Mark ran a hand through his hair, clearly torn. "Your mother has a point, son. You did cancel a lot." "Not you too, Dad." Jake's voice cracked again. "I'm 15. I'm not supposed to be perfect at this stuff." I softened slightly, but held firm. "Nobody expects perfect, Jake, but I expect basic decency. That girl deserved someone who actually showed up." Jake's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and something flickered across his face. Guilt, maybe? Or recognition. He shoved the phone in his pocket and headed for the stairs. "Where are you going?" Mark called after him. "Away from her." Jake jabbed a finger in my direction without looking back. His bedroom door slammed hard enough to rattle the family photos on the wall. Mark turned to me, his expression carefully neutral. That could have gone better. Could it? I picked up the dish towel again, needing something to do with my hands. "Mark, we've been watching this train wreck for weeks. Someone needed to say something." But right after she broke up with him, Mark moved closer, lowering his voice. "He's a kid. He's learning." "And I'm teaching him?" I met his eyes. "Would you want some boy treating our daughter like that if we had one?" Mark's jaw tightened. We'd had a daughter once. Or almost. The miscarriage 8 years ago still lived in the space between certain conversations. It wasn't fair of me to invoke her, but the words were already out. "That's not fair," Mark said quietly. "Maybe not, but it's true." I walked past him toward the stairs. "I don't think that's a good idea right now." I paused with my foot on the bottom step. "Mark, if we don't address this now, we're telling him his behavior was acceptable. Is that what you want?" My husband looked torn, his loyalty split between his wife and his son. Finally, he sighed. "Just go easy on him, okay? He's still processing." I climbed the stairs, each step feeling heavier than the last. Jake's door was closed, music thumping from inside. I knocked 3 times, firm but not aggressive. "Go away." "Jake, we need to talk." I said go away. Something hit the door from the inside. A shoe, probably. I tried the handle. Locked, of course. We'd installed that lock last year after Jake complained about his lack of privacy. At the time, it seemed reasonable. Now it felt like a metaphor. "Jake Michael Carter, open this door." "No." I pressed my forehead against the doorframe. "I know you're upset with me, but I need you to understand why I said what I said." The music didn't lower. No response came. I stood there for a long moment, listening to the muffled bass line and wondering when my sweet little boy had become this stranger who treated people as optional. Had I done this? Had Mark and I somehow raised him to think other people's feelings were negotiable? My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, expecting a text from my sister or maybe a work email. Instead, I saw a message from an unknown number. "Hi, Mrs. Carter. This is Emma. I hope it's okay that I got your number from Jake's emergency contact sheet at school. I wanted to thank you for always being nice to me. I'm sorry things didn't work out with Jake, but I thought you should know he's been telling his friends I'm crazy and clingy. Just thought you'd want to know what he's saying. Thanks for the cookies that one time." My stomach dropped. I read the message 3 times, each word landing like a punch. The cookies. That was a month ago when Emma had brought over homemade chocolate chip cookies and I'd sent her home with a tin of my snickerdoodles. She'd been so grateful, so polite, asking about the recipe and saying her mom would love it. And Jake was calling her crazy? Clingy? I knocked on his door again, harder this time. "Jake, open this door right now or I'm getting your father to take it off the hinges." "What?" The music lowered slightly. "What's wrong?" "Open the door." A pause, then footsteps. The lock clicked, and Jake opened the door a crack, his face wary. "What?" I held up my phone, showing him Emma's message. "Want to explain this?" His eyes widened, then narrowed. "She texted you? That's psycho." "No, Jake. What's psycho is calling a nice girl crazy because she had the self-respect to break up with you. What's psycho is telling your friend she's clingy when all she did was expect you to keep your commitments." Jake tried to close the door. I pushed it open, stepping into his room. The place was the usual teenage disaster zone. Clothes everywhere, empty chip bags on the desk, the air stale with boy smell. "Get out of my room!" Jake backed up toward his bed. "Not until we settle this." I held my ground near the doorway. "You're spreading lies about that girl because what? Your pride is hurt? Because your friends might think she had a good reason to dump you?" "It's not lies." Jake's face flushed again. "She was clingy. She always wanted to know where I was and what I was doing." That's called caring about someone, Jake. That's what people do when they're in a relationship. I could feel my voice rising and forced myself to breathe. She wasn't clingy, she was invested, and you took advantage of that. "I didn't take advantage of anything." Jake sat on his bed, phone still clutched in his hand. "She knew what she was getting into." "Did she? Because from where I'm standing, she thought she was getting into a relationship with someone who actually wanted to spend time with her." I moved closer, sitting in his desk chair. "Jake, I'm not trying to be cruel here, but you need to understand that your actions have consequences. Emma didn't just disappear into thin air because you're done with her. She's still at your school. She still has feelings. And now you're making her the villain?" Jake stared at his phone screen. "The guys were asking why she broke up with me. I had to say something." You had to say the truth, that you messed up, that you took her for granted. I leaned forward. Jake, here's what I know about women. We remember everything. Emma will remember that you canceled on her 7 times. She'll remember that you promised to come to her birthday and didn't. And now she'll remember that when it ended, you called her crazy. Is that really the person you want to be? My son's shoulders hunched. For a moment, he looked like a little kid again, uncertain and small. Then his jaw set, and the teenage armor came back up. Why do you even care? It's over. I care because you're my son, and I love you, and I don't want you growing up to be the kind of man who treats women like they're disposable. The words caught in my throat. I care because Emma was a good kid, and she didn't deserve any of this. And I care because right now, you're at a fork in the road. You can either learn from this and do better next time, or you can double down on this behavior and become someone I don't recognize. Jake looked up at me, something vulnerable in his eyes. She really texted you? Yeah. I showed him the phone again. She was kind about it too, even thanked me for the cookies. That's the kind of person she is, Jake. Even after everything, she's still thinking about other people's feelings. He swallowed hard. I didn't mean for it to get this bad. Then fix it. I set my phone on his desk. Text her an apology. Tell your friends the truth. Take responsibility. I can't do that. They'll think I'm weak. They'll think you're honest. I stood up. And if they don't, then maybe they're not the kind of friends you need. Jake didn't respond. I moved toward the door, then paused. You know what the saddest part is? Emma would have forgiven you if you just apologized and tried harder. But now you've burned that bridge, and she'll move on and find someone who actually appreciates her. And you'll have lost something real because you were too proud to admit you screwed up. I left his room, closing the door softly behind me. Mark was waiting at the bottom of the stairs, concern etched into his face. How'd it go? About as well as could be expected. I showed him Emma's message. Mark read it, his expression darkening. He said that about her? Apparently. I pocketed my phone. So no, Mark, I don't think I was too harsh. If anything, I wasn't harsh enough. My husband pulled me into a hug. You did the right thing. It's just hard watching him struggle. He's not struggling with the breakup, I said into his shoulder. He's struggling with accountability. There's a difference. We stood like that for a minute, holding each other in the quiet house. Upstairs, Jake's music started again, louder this time. The bass line throbbed through the ceiling. Do you think he'll apologize to her? Mark asked. I don't know. I pulled back, looking up at him. But I hope so, for his sake more than hers. The rest of the evening passed in uncomfortable silence. Jake didn't come down for dinner. I made spaghetti, his favorite, but left it covered on the stove. Mark ate quietly, scrolling through his phone between bites. I pushed pasta around my plate, appetite gone. Around 8, my phone buzzed again. Another message from Emma. I'm sorry if I made things weird. I just thought you should know. Jake's a good guy deep down. I hope he figures things out. I showed Mark. He shook his head. That kid really doesn't know what he lost. No, I agreed. He really doesn't. I typed back a response. Thank you for telling me, Emma. I'm sorry Jake hurt you. You seem like a wonderful young woman, and I hope you find someone who treats you the way you deserve. Her reply came quickly. Thank you, Mrs. Carter. That means a lot. I set my phone down, feeling the weight of the day settling over me. Mark cleared the dishes, and I wiped down the counters, both of us moving in practice synchronization. 16 years of marriage meant we could coexist in silence without it feeling awkward, but this silence felt different, heavier. Do you think we failed him? I asked suddenly. Mark turned from the sink, soap suds on his hands. What? Jake, do you think we failed him somehow? Didn't teach him the right things about relationships? My husband dried his hands slowly, considering. I think we're teaching him right now. This is part of it. But what if it's too late? What if he's already become that guy? He's 15, Sarah. He's not set in stone yet. Mark came over, taking my hand. You did the hard thing today. You told him the truth when he didn't want to hear it. That's good parenting, even if it doesn't feel like it. I wanted to believe him, but the image of Emma's polite, gracious texts kept replaying in my mind. That girl had every right to be angry, to lash out, to tell Jake exactly what she thought of him. Instead, she'd been kind, grateful, understanding, and my son had called her crazy? I should check on him, I said. Give him space, Mark advised. Let him sit with it. But I couldn't. I climbed the stairs again, knocked on Jake's door again. This time, he opened it right away. What now? Emma texted me again. I held up my phone. She said you're a good guy deep down, and she hopes you figure things out. Jake's face did something complicated. Guilt and defensiveness warred across his features. Even now, after everything, she's still being kind to you, Jake. Do you see that? He looked at the floor. Yeah. So what are you going to do about it? I don't know. I touched his shoulder gently. Figure it out, kiddo, before it's too late to be the person you want to be. I left him there, standing in his doorway, phone in hand. Whether he'd do the right thing, I couldn't say. All I could do was plant the seed and hope it took root. Downstairs, Mark was watching TV, some cop show with dramatic music. I curled up next to him on the couch, exhausted. He put his arm around me, and we sat like that, not really watching, just being together. You're a good mom, he said softly. I hope so. I closed my eyes. I really hope so. My phone buzzed one more time. Not Emma this time. Jake. Mom, I'm sorry for what I said about Emma, for how I acted. I'm going to text her tomorrow and apologize, and I'll tell the guys the truth. You were right. I messed up. I showed Mark. His face softened into a smile. There's our boy. I typed back quickly. I'm proud of you, Jake. That takes real courage. Love you. Love you too, Mom, even though you're annoying sometimes. I laughed, the tension finally breaking. Takes one to know one, kid. Mark kissed the top of my head. Crisis averted? Maybe. I snuggled closer. We'll see what tomorrow brings. But for now, in this moment, I felt like maybe we'd done okay. Maybe saying good hadn't been cruel. Maybe it had been exactly what Jake needed to hear. Sometimes love meant delivering hard truths. Sometimes being a good parent meant being the bad guy. And if Emma found someone better, someone who showed up and kept promises and treated her with respect, then good. She deserved nothing less. As for Jake, well, he'd learn. Or he wouldn't. But at least I'd tried. At least I'd stood up for what was right, even when it was uncomfortable. That had to count for something. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did I cross a line by saying good when my son got his heart broken?